What's up, guys? Welcome back, or if you're new, welcome to the channel. Great to have you here. I'm releasing a video every week reviewing and reacting to Love featuring Marriage and Divorce. If you haven't been watching this show, it's over on Netflix, and 2 episodes are being released every week on Saturday and Sunday. So feel free to go get caught up and come and join in this discussion. Just wanted to thank you guys for all the support I've been getting on these videos and this series. All the likes, the comments, I love to see it. I love you guys. And with all that said, let's dive right in and start talking about episode 5. Okay, so I'm sure we're all still recovering even after a week from episode 4, and I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen with Dong-mi and that whole situation. So this entire episode, Dong-mi is putting on a front. She's acting like she's real sad about this, and I'm sure to some degree, in some kind of way, she is sad and distressed, but that's probably just because she's fucking insane. But the whole episode, I was just waiting for that classic evil villain character trope where they get a moment alone or when no one's looking and they finally do that like evil smile, that evil knowing smile. And we kind of got that. There's that one moment when she's at the funeral home, I think still, and she's in the bathroom by herself and she kind of touches her face and looks in the mirror, and she doesn't do a full on evil smile or evil laugh, but there's definitely a look of pure insanity, which I think is troubling enough. And then there's that scene later on when she's home alone and she's trying to talk to herself and convince herself she did nothing wrong, and she's looking out at this full moon, and it's really unsettling and really disturbing, and she just freaks me out. And it seems pretty much confirmed that Dong-mi is definitely going for Yu Shin. And finally, we see that Pi-young is starting to catch on to this. And I don't mean finally as if, oh, why didn't she see before? She's so dumb. Obviously, us as the audience has been able to see a lot more than she has. But I mean finally as in within the flow of the story, like it's finally getting to that point. Every time Dong-mi hugs her husband, Pi-young is giving a little bit more of a stranger look. And then, of course, he takes her out. Yu Shin takes out Dong-mi for all these meals, and Pi-young's finally starting to be like, all right, come home for dinner. And then, oh no, Dong-mi's not hungry. And then, oh, but you ate. And she's starting to catch on. We also get more of the storyline with Hye-ryung and Sa-hyun and his parents. And I don't even know if I was on Sa-hyun's side at all before this, but I'm definitely not now. He's such a little punk bitch. Like, I'm sorry, but what he did, the way he did it, and the way he's handling it now, I just can't rock with that. I just can't. We're also seeing that Hye-ryung looks like she has the potential to be completely crazy too. But on the other hand, it's like, dude, you did this. You brought this on yourself, dude. Of course, the message is reinforced in this episode as well. We need to see both sides of the story. And so maybe we're going to get more from Sa-hyun's point of view, but as of now, I can't rock with you, dude. I just can't. The only thing I will say in your defense is that Hye-ryung is getting more and more physical with him and hitting him like every episode now continuously. So I was glad to see him stand up for himself a bit and tell her off and say, you think you can just hit me whenever you want? Also, she was like almost borderline trying to rape him. That's not cool either. So I'm not saying that Hye-ryung isn't handling this in a bad way. She definitely is in some ways. But again, it's like she didn't just go completely crazy out of nowhere. This was brought upon by him cheating and then handling it really poorly afterwards. We're also getting these scenes of Sa-hyun's mom and dad, and she's bickering with him because she's jealous about how he's obsessed with Dong-mi. And I really don't like how she talks to Hye-ryung in those previous episodes and her thoughts on marriage and divorce and women's roles within marriage and divorce and how she looks at all of that. But I really did like how she just constantly calls out her husband in this episode. And yeah, you could say she's nagging, but at least she's communicating and saying exactly what she feels and saying what she wants and calling him out on his shit. Like, that communication is better than not saying anything, as we can see with some of these other relationships. Okay, what else we got? Oh, sorry, at the funeral, there's more of this eyeing from the 3 wives. This time it's Hye-ryung, of that older Mr. So guy, the maverick the rebel. He's gonna drain the swamp, guys. Commenting how he looks really good in a suit. Okay, I guess we're building up to this point where they're all kind of attracted to him. Don't know where that's gonna go, but seemed like a really weird time to be thinking about that at a funeral. There's also that moment when they go out after the funeral and Hye Ryung is like, oh, Dong-mi should remarry, and then it's implied that she thinks or comes up with the idea that she's gonna hook up Mr. So with Dong-mi. Dear God, please do not do that. Although it would be sort of interesting since they're both very unique characters in this show, with Dong-mi being completely fucking insane and then Mr. So being this maverick who's against the idea of marriage and all of that. I wonder what would happen there, but for his sake, I just hope that doesn't happen. We're also getting some more scenes of those 3 other women meeting up, and I'm kind of getting bored with that. Like, let's move on here. I really want to find out how they connect with the story. It's revealed that Amy has a meeting at a hotel. Okay, I guess we'll just put that in our little box of evidence and clues and keep on moving for now. If you guys have already seen a connection with some of this stuff, then please let me know, because it's getting a little old. Okay, they're going out to eat. Great. And then they're like spouting more exposition. They're like, we're all single. We're freelancers. Why do they have to keep saying that? I don't get that. Another clue or info we get about them is that none of them smoke or drink. So, yay. But forget that for now. This scene where Ji-ah finally hugs her grandmother. They finally meet at the funeral, and I don't care if P-Young's looking a little uncomfortable about it. Deal with it. This needed to happen. I was so happy to see this. It was just a beautiful moment, and I was kind of tearing up a little bit. Might have just been someone cutting onions in the other room. I don't know. And yeah, I was surprised to see P-Young not really take the moment of the funeral and the fact that, hey, people can go at any time. And of course, she doesn't know her mom's terminally ill, but you would think she'd have a little moment of, oh, okay, this is more important. You know, you never know when someone's gonna go. But she just kind of stands there silently, and she doesn't forbid it from happening, so that's actually a good sign. But it was so great for the grandma and Ji-ah. I'm so glad that happened, and I love how Ji-ah just runs to her and hugs her, and it's just a beautiful moment. I think we can all agree the grandma deserved that after all the, like, verbal chain whipping by P-Young. In this episode, I think we're really seeing the full emergence of one of the big themes of this show, which is mortality and how people deal with that. Before, I was saying that a motif in the show was aging and not wanting to be old, and that motif is now forming this theme of mortality. Basically, you can do whatever you want, have work done, get anti-aging medicine, try not to stress, age gracefully, marry younger women, follow the latest trends in fashion, but in the end, death is coming for everyone, and death really doesn't care about your age or what you're doing or anything else. This is addressed directly by P-Young's mom when she says, I know age doesn't matter regarding death. Okay, more creepy stuff about Dong-mi. Ji-ah also says, Grandma, you should come live with us, and I'm just like, ew, no, please, no. That's what she wants. She wants to live close to Yushin. Ew. So then there's the scene with Hye Ryung at the radio station. She has that talk with Sa-hyun on the phone. She calls him up and basically threatens him, says she won't divorce him, and yeah, she's spiraling towards being completely insane too. But that was a great scene. The way she said all of that but was smiling the whole time. Great acting. Pretty intense there, and yeah, I like that scene a lot. So then after that, we get to my favorite scene of the episode, obviously the most poignant, deep philosophical discussion where Ji-ah and Yu-ram talk about farts. It's official now, Yu-ram is my favorite character. He's just awesome. Everything he does is great, and it's just really cute too. Ji-ah says that she loved her grandfather but didn't like his farts, not because they're smelly, but because they're too loud. So then Yu-ram promptly farts right in front of her and is like, oh, I wanted to see if my farts were too loud for you. It's just so wholesome. It's just great. I love those scenes. Then at the end of the episode, P-Young gets the photo that the coworker or friend or whoever took, and it's of her husband and Dong-mi going out to dinner and like him holding her hand. And yeah, I am very glad that she is starting to suspect that something is amiss, something is going on between those two. Also, it's just so funny how everyone's answer to anything that's going wrong seems to be, oh, let's get some Oriental medicine. That must be some really great medicine. That's all I can say. And then, of course, at the end, we get that insanely disturbing, creepy, scary, chilling stare from Dongmi. And of course, she has to stare right at us, the audience. So that's it for this episode. Let's get into episode 6. Okay, episode 6. So we start out learning a little bit more about Yushin's past and his childhood. It seems that his real mom was maybe a little bit distant or strict, so this kind of provides some background as to why Dongmi is so important in his life. It seems that she was the one that became that mother figure for him and gave him attention and love. But then on the other hand, he is also saying that he doesn't actually see her as a mother, but more of a sister or an aunt. So yeah, again, a little weird. And then we see that while she's in the bathtub, he's like almost pretty much touching her when she's touching the water, and we see her hand come out, her fingers moving as if she's thinking of touching him back. And yeah. Alright, then we're getting a little more Mr. So action. Hae Ryung and P Young invite him out to eat to pay him back for the other time they went out, but he says he's got other plans and just rejects them and walks off like a boss. And it's seeming more and more like Hae Ryung is taking an interest in him, and really, who can blame her? He's a rebel, a maverick. He can't be tied down to any woman. He's a lone wolf. He rides a motorbike. Guy's just a savage. Okay, next. I was glad to see the three wives having their little meetup at their usual spot again. I was kind of missing those scenes in the previous episodes because those scenes always provide a great window into how these wives are thinking. It's almost like this in-between space where all the stuff going on in their lives can be looked at and examined from different points of view, and they can just kind of talk about it and game plan. One thing I did want to mention here is that Si-Yun says that Hae Ryun, her husband, loves Ginochi. I don't know what that is, but as far as some of the comments I've been seeing on the videos saying that maybe Hae Ryun is actually his identical brother who took his place once he died, this could be a clue that you might want to keep track of, because maybe we'll see a scene where Hae Ryun doesn't like Ginochi or something, and then that might prove that it's actually his brother. I don't know, but I thought I'd mention it. We also get more Hae Ryun just crushing on Mr. So, saying he's admirable, noble, manly. So yeah, it looks like that's ramping up there. I don't know what's going to happen between them, if anything. I think later on in the episode she has a dream or a fantasy of him giving her a puppy. So that was weird, I guess. Also in this episode, we see just the continuation, this ongoing saga of Sa-Hyun's parents just arguing and bickering, and it's kind of ramped up in this episode because they're saying some of the same stuff they were saying in previous episodes about how he doesn't give her any affection or take care of her like he thinks about Dong-mi. But this whole thing where he starts calling her woman and calling her basically a pig, you can't do that, bro. Like, you can't say that to your wife. Also, side note for all the guys out there who might be entering into relationships, or for those of you who already know, you can't just take cream from your wife or ointment or gel and just tell her that it goes anywhere you want because it's all just skin. That will not fly. All those creams are for specific things. They might be expensive. You don't just do that, man. So yeah, it's going from kind of just fun bickering. I know last episode I was giving them credit for that because at least they were seeming to put all their problems out in the open, but it's getting pretty toxic now, and he's just so disrespectful, man. Okay, so then we get Hae Ryun comes home drunk and finally admits to Si-Yun that he's been cheating, he's been seeing someone else, and he makes it clear it's not because we've been together too long, it's because another woman has captured his heart, which pretty much delegitimizes everything he said before about like, oh, I'm tired of looking at your wrist things, or I can't be the man. We also see this parallel or similarity, at least, to the other situation with Hae Ryung and Sa-Hyun, where when the woman finds out she's being cheated on, she wants to know who the other woman is, and the man kind of just being like, what does it matter? And I just think it's really sad because we can see this internalized insecurity that the wives have, and it's a product of society conditioning them to think that they have to always be their best, and finding out that their husband is cheating with somebody else is like this proclamation that they aren't good enough, or that they haven't done as good a job as they could have, and that someone else is doing that job better. And I can totally understand. Anyone would want to know. Siyun is just a total champ. She maintains her calm, is able to keep it together despite all this infuriating shit her husband is saying. And I just love how she's putting the kids first. And when she says that thing about how, okay, you can, whatever, we can work this out, you can get your way, but don't ruin this party for you, Ram, tonight. Go out there and put on a face. It's just, it must be so hard for her, and I just felt so bad. To be honest, I don't really know how I feel about her plan going forward, where she's allowing him to cheat, but just don't hurt the kids or let them find out. Like, they're obviously gonna find out. And of course, later in the episode, we see Hyung-ji is already going down that path. So I don't really know whether I agree with her doing that or think it's a good idea, but I do admire her for trying to put her kids first. I just hope it's not at the cost of her having like any kind of happiness. Okay, small note, we find out Amy is a model, or I think she is, at least she was modeling in that one tiny little scene. Again, we're seeing these three other mystery women, I feel, less and less. In this episode, I thought we were going to see a little bit more, but really not much at all. I'm not even really interested in them anymore, to be honest. I just kind of want them to either be connected or just go away, because there's so much other shit going on right now. So the next big scene is another meeting of the minds with Seo-hyun, Hae-ryung, and the parents seem to side with Hae-ryung, but not because they're like actually good people, but they just want to keep up appearances, and it's the right thing to do or say. I love how after all of that, Seo-hyun talks to them alone, and he's like, but what if my baby's a boy? And they're like, oh shit, well, that might change everything. Also, we see Hae-ryung talking to herself and basically being like, I'm gonna get you back when we're older. That's a little scary, to be honest, and I know Seo-hyun's been saying, especially in this episode, that he's scared of Hae-ryung and fears for his safety, and you know what? I mean, despite all the shit I talked about him, like, I understand. She's a little scary, and it's not cool that she's being physically abusive with him. I'm never gonna be in support of that, no matter how much I'm not in support of him otherwise. And then we get more of Seo-hyun's parents bickering, and he's like, so out of pocket, man, saying women are bird brains. I love how she comes back and she's like, well, then men are insect brains. And yeah, these guys, they just never stop. It's constant. Okay, what else? Yushin and Dongmi talking, and he's like, you were the only woman in my dreams. Oh no, dude, stop saying that stuff. You know, in these past episodes, it's actually sort of seeming like he's the one that's more interested in her. I know she's kind of manipulating him and hanging back and pretending, but he's the one that's saying all this crazy shit in this episode, and it's really weird. Also, so we see Yushin's person or mystery contact, or I don't know if it's the person he's cheating with, but they are called in his phone Manager Kim. If they're Manager Kim and that's their last name, isn't Dongmi's last name Kim? So is that just her? On the other hand, it doesn't seem like it is Dongmi, because he seems to be explaining spending time with Dongmi to this other person. And they said they missed him, so that means that they haven't seen him in a while. So yeah, I'm really not quite sure what to make of that. We also see the first time that Pi-young is really bringing up the Dongmi thing with her husband and showing him the picture that she got from her friend. And he's just kind of unbothered, like, oh, let them misunderstand. People will always judge and say things, da-da-da-da. And she's like, yeah, it's kind of weird though. So we'll just have to see where that goes, because it's going somewhere for sure. Okay, and lastly, I just love to see Ji-ah spending time with the grandma, but at the same time, I am getting increasingly worried and paranoid that this is heading towards the direction of Ji-ah is going to be spending so much time with her. She doesn't have that long to live. So does that mean that Ji-ah is going to be alone with her when the grandma finally does die? That would be horrible. I really hope that doesn't happen, because I really don't want Ji-ah to have to experience that. But that's it for these 2 episodes. This week was jam-packed with a lot of stuff. We're still not any closer to seeing these other mistresses yet. None of them have been outright revealed, but I'm sure you guys will have a lot of great theories in the comments and clues that you've put together that I haven't. I'm having a blast. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'm TwoTenEast, and I'll see you next time.